each other. I'm Giselle, and I am a helper on this Mount Shasta Area Fire Safe Council. Want to move in, Dale?
And co-facilitator along with me. Hi, I'm Dale Nova.
Get your face in there.
And hello. Having a late lunch here. And welcome to the Mount Shasta Area Fire Safe Council meeting.
We just needed you.
Do you all have your agendas in front of you?
Just your introductions, what we're doing. And so then Ruby.
Hi everyone, my name is Ruby. I am Giselle's administrative assistant.
Greg.
Greg Dinger, Mount Shasta West, volunteer.
Nick Joslin.
Hey, I'm Nick Joslin. I work at the Mount Shasta Bioregional Ecology Center.
Welcome. Jerry Sullivan. You're muted, Jerry. If you want to introduce yourself, let me know, or put your information in chat if it's not working for you.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now, barely, but I can hear you. Introduce yourself, please.
I'm Jerry Sullivan. I'm just a retired person that lives in Mount Shasta.
Okay, welcome. Kristen Norman.
Hi, I'm here at our booth in Tule Lake. Kristen Norman.
All
I am
right.
Giselle's assistant for the Fire Safe Council of Siskiyou County, and obviously do outreach and education.
How's the fair going, Kristen?
Good, you know, it's always really slow on Thursdays. But actually more folks, more engagement than I expected. But yeah, and you know, half the people that are here from Oregon. But still good to be out here in the far reaches of our county.
All right.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, Nick needs an agenda. Let me just put it up on the screen. I think that might work. We'll see.
Where's Jerry live?
He's a Mount Shasta citizen.
You didn't ask.
That's what he said, dude.
I'd like to ask.
He already said Mount Shasta
Where
citizen.
does he live?
Oh,
in Mount
I don't
Shasta?
know.
Jerry, where do you live at? Jerry Sullivan, are you there?
Yeah, I live on Eddy Circle in Mount Shasta.
Oh, very
yeah.
good.
But you were up in the project. Yeah.
Yeah,
Not the projects, but the project.
right.
All right.
Glad you could join us.
Thank you.
So again, as Dale said, welcome, and we're going to move on to item 2. And Dale wanted to talk briefly about maintaining fuel breaks around the city of Mount Shasta.
Yeah, that's very essential. As you guys know, we've done a lot of fuel reduction over the last 15 years. We have fuel breaks combined with the fuel breaks established by the U.S. Forest Service that totally surround Mount Shasta City. The challenge was huge in each one of those because a lot of times we're dealing with a lot of old growth, old fire history burns, where, as an example, behind Friars Way, we had on average 20-foot tall manzanita. In fact, one of those manzanita that we took out at Mrs. Smith's house had a 16-inch diameter at breast height. One manzanita, it looked like a tree. So we did the heavy lifting, and we were strongly encouraging everybody to maintain those field breaks around their property or adjacent to it. I know that there's been a lot of great work done on our Davis Place Loop area where the Mills Ranch is. Fortunately, they have employed a forestry firm to maintain the field break with continuous mastication. And that's been wonderful. Unfortunately, and in all honesty, I would say close to 90% of our field breaks on private property are becoming overgrown, or they are already overgrown. The one on the Friars Way area, as an example, on The railroad property owned by Union Pacific is already about 12 foot tall on average of bitter brush and manzanita, in spite of the fact that they've encouraged, or we have encouraged them every year, sometimes 2 or 3 times a year, to maintain that field break. So if you have field breaks that you can still maintain with a weed eater, great. But otherwise, as you may know, it's going to be getting out there with a chainsaw or hiring a mastication machine and a contractor to come in there and do that. So again, the only way we're going to be possibly very defensible is by maintaining our field breaks around our property, and certainly in the outback areas, such as owned by the old McLeod River Railroad. That railroad has been abandoned. Some property owners up there are maintaining the McLeod River Railroad because, in fact, some of them actually have lawns and sprinkler systems installed on that 100 foot of railroad right of way. Well, meanwhile, maintaining defensible space around our homes is so very, very important. And any of you have ever considered putting in a sprinkler system into your house? It's my opinion, money is better spent and less money would be spent to make shutters for your windows. In Australia, certain parts of Australia, it's a requirement over sprinklers because fire brands, fire whirls, aerial burning material, a lot of times in big winds, will fly right through a tempered glass window with tremendous force and burn the house from the inside out. And that's happened, unfortunately, too many times. I've witnessed myself, particularly in Southern California, where we get these Santa Ana winds. Other hardscape features, you will find a wealth of information if you go to our website, firesafesiskiyou.com, or CAL FIRE's website. Those are very good sources. As an example, it's very advisable if you have fences that come and join your house like I do, to change the points of attachment to your house with a non-combustible material such as hardy board. And that's what I need to do on one of my gates, in fact. So that's on my project list, hopefully to get to in the next week or so. Gutters. We often overlook gutters when it's not raining, but they accumulate debris on a weekly basis. So if you possibly can, check your gutters often, weekly, because particularly in coniferous areas, let alone oak woodlands, we get a lot of debris that will accumulate. Only takes a half an inch of flammable material in that rain gutter, and when it burns, guess what? It could very well enter our attic spaces by going up into that area underneath the shingles.
Right. Well, any questions about your home hardening or taking care of your property without funding? Does anybody without funding other than your own? Are there any questions, any comments?
Well, yeah, there was a time where you had a list of contractors or something that could come and masticate, because, you know, everything they did out there, it's starting to grow back, and ours isn't a matter of weeds or whatever, it's the manzanita, and there's no way that, you know, a weed eater is gonna do that.
Yeah, you have to do it twice a year, in the spring and the fall, on the tender shoots, or it doesn't work very good. But yeah, I have a list of contractors. Right now, I can think of the guy that was out there, and that's Juan Cota. And the other one I can think of is Todd Wright. He has a small masticator. He's probably less expensive
Uh-huh.
than Juan, and he's in Mount Shasta.
And then a third one is Aaron Ainsley. I just met him at the fair a few weeks ago. And the good news about him, he now has 10 machines, and he's very competitive in his prices. He's out of Grenada.
Well, I don't think he's competitive in his prices, but he is an expert. So, uh,
Okay.
okay. Nick, you have your hand raised.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Question about Manson.
Oh, you're
just-
broken up, Nick.
just
Try again.
stimulate data in general better.
You're still kind of broken up. Go ahead and say it and I'll see if I can understand.
Available indication from sometimes it seems like it almost just escalates it. And extremely
Hey, Nick, can you put your comment in chat?
hear me.
No, we can't hear you. We catch every fourth or fifth word.
Is that Nick
So-
Rick?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I'll put it in the chat.
Okay, that would be great. So I'm going to look in chat. Let me see what he has to say here. All right. Greg says, are there any grant resources that could apply out in Lake Shastina? My rental on Rainbow Drive is surrounded by vacant lots, and 2 out of 3 have been cleared. The lot on the east side of the property still has burned trees and heavy weeds. We have a grant that will do a couple of lots, and it's through the CSD. You need to call Rick Thompson and see if he's willing to put his monies there. He may be. He's looking for lots, and he has some in mind, but he's having the same problem, Greg. He can't find the true landowners, and so it is a problem. But yeah, Rick Thompson at the CSD has a little bit of money for that kind of thing. And then any alternatives to mastication of manzanita? This is from Nick. Since it seems to grow stimulated by new growth. The only other alternative to that, it would be to pluck it and pull it. And a lot of times our grants will not cover that process because it's ground disturbing and doesn't fit within the CEQA or the NEPA, but it is actually a very good method if you can afford it and can do it yourself. I know Matt Mello was pulling some up in the Eddy area, so yeah, you can pull it, but it's expensive. Put a chain around it, get a pickup truck and pull it out. But that's the only other non-growth stimulating process there is. And then Kristen says in chat, on the topic of home hardening, Christian Jordan from UC Co-op Extension just gave us a pack of booklets produced by University of Nevada. And that's the best I've ever seen. Yes, we've worked with Living with Fire and University of Nevada as when we wrote our Living with Fire. And yes, they have a lot of really good things. And you said, Kristen, that those cost. So when we get some, we'll be willing to share them. And if they'll let us reprint, we can do that. So anyway, yeah, Wildfire Home Retrofit Guide. That's nice. Can we get it online, Kristen? Can we just go order it off a line, or are we gonna, where do we find that?
Yeah, he sent me the link to order them. They're $1.50 a piece, which is just their printing costs. So yeah, we can order them. I think I already forwarded that to you and
Yeah.
Josh yesterday. So yeah, they're definitely something we want to have at all of our events to give out, because you can't even really find this condensed and specific and well organized information anywhere online that I've seen. So it's really the best resource that's out there, I think.
Well, if you send us the link, we'll share that with everybody else, and then we might get a few ourselves, but I don't know how much we're planning to purchase, but we will do that. Okay, Dale, you have something to say?
Well, I'd like to say now is a really good time to work on that home hardening with this hot weather. when there is a possibility we could start a fire by running a chainsaw close to the ground, having the muffler light some flammable material, or mastication where quite possible the mastication machine can spark a fire, et cetera, et cetera. We'd like to hold off till we get one good rain. When I say a good rain, something a quarter inch or more. So there's lots of things for home hardening that can be done now that are very inexpensive. But in the meanwhile, in a couple more weeks, when we do have cooler weather from some precipitation, that's the time to get that saw out. That if you want to consider mastication, by all means, go for it. Mastication, we have found out after, 3 comprehensive studies where we had test plots, mastication has regeneration coming up through a chip bed at the slowest rate versus cutting and burning, cutting by piles, broadcast burning, cutting, chipping, hauling off. When you have even exposed open soil, that open soil will grow vegetation very rapidly. Manzanita, as many of you realize, has these root structures that are tremendous fast growers. Within a year, we'll see 1.5 feet, 2 feet of growth. And that's why, if you can, pulling out vegetation is much more effective. But the caveats are, be very careful that you don't create soil instability.
If I can add to that, so Eric Knapp of the Northwest, I believe, Regional Research, U.S. Forest Service Department, did a study up in Tennessee, set 13 plots and had different treatments on each one. And when the antelope fire moved through, they went back and they checked them. And the best, most holding of all of those was mastication followed by prescribed fire. So that's one way of slowing down the growth. Masticate it and then run fire over it. If you know someone that can do that, we don't do that, but you can. I know the Prescribed Burn Association, connected to the Shasta Valley RCD, does do that. So you can call the Shasta Valley RCD and see if they're willing to come and do prescribed fire. So prescribed fire works best from what we've
Also,
learned.
check with your battalion chief with CAL FIRE. CAL FIRE has a burn team now, and they are looking for large scale projects. Large scale meaning 10 acres or more. And that may be a good possibility, and maybe even cheaper than contracting out some professional prescribed fire burners or mastication. But at any rate, it's always good to get your fire agency's follow-up to your property and have them look and make some recommendations, quite possibly even before you start some extensive fuel reduction on your property.
Okay, so number 4, fuel reduction projects available in Mount Shasta right now. The only active project in Mount Shasta beside the CWDG, and that was not that active here, is the Old Stage Fuels Reduction Project that we're working on right now. And that's about 120 acres along Old Stage from Cantera all the way to Ream. And we're starting kind of a second phase of that. We've got 60 acres done and we're moving to get 60 acres more. Our contractor pulled off because of weather and then fire season, but he promises he'll be back soon. And at the end of September or October to complete that project. So anyway, we do have, if you live on Old Stage Road or between those crossroads, or know somebody that does, that hasn't already been treated, we would love to sign them up. So anyway, any questions on any of that?
Also, we mentioned at the Fire Safe Council of Siskiyou County meeting here recently that there is the good possibility, correct me if I'm wrong, Kristen, that January 1st, 2025, the insurance commissioner may be offering discounts to Firewise communities, which takes a minimum of 8 homes in your neighborhoods. I don't believe they need to be contiguous homes. Is that right, Kristen?
Right. They don't have to share property boundaries. It's very open-ended. It's just the
Yeah.
general vicinity. Yeah.
And I got some more recent news just a few days ago. Allstate just got approval by the state insurance commissioner to raise their rates 35%. On the consideration, I think this week, is State Farm that is seeking a 30% rate hike in California. And I suspect they're going to get it. There are other insurance companies coming right behind them too. So this is all the more reason to consider creating Firewise communities in your neighborhoods and getting that great discount.
Well, I just posted something on Facebook. I didn't, maybe you guys can have a better understanding, but it sounds like the FAIR plan, they are saying that they're not going to give any discounts. So,
Well, then no, that's not true. I mean, I know it's not true because my dad
Okay.
got an 8% discount on the FAIR plan when he started his Firewise community in Shasta County. But
Oh,
then
good.
also Stephen Decatur down in Dunsmuir has been in direct and frequent contact with like kind of the go-between between the FAIR plan United policyholders and Firewise. Because since he got Dunsmuir, the Firewise community established in Dunsmuir, and everyone has been submitting their documents to their insurance companies to get recalculated and hopefully get a discount. Some of the FAIR plan people in the FAIR plan were getting denied, but then that was just a glitch in the system. Here, let me pull up his email. So that he's actually been kind of the spearheading getting that resolved, and the outcome is that they will be still
Good.
yeah, it's, I mean, here, let me show you. It says it. I just actually reread this form this morning while it was slow at the fair here. If I can sit, so it's probably backwards to you guys, but now this is from the state insurance department directly, and it says one of the questions on here is, I'm on the FAIR plan, will I get a discount? Yes, the FAIR plan also will be required to offer discounts. Contact your licensed insurance broker that's registered to sell the FAIR plan coverage, and so yeah, you don't get as big of a discount, like 8 to 10% on the FAIR plan versus 10 to 25% possibility with the regular insurance companies. But yeah, FAIR plan is still required to recalculate your wildfire risk score
Good.
for Firewise. And then what all the United policyholders and state insurance department and Cal Fire Firewise reps have told us, that having the Firewise designation is your only hope of getting off the FAIR plan and reinsured with a normal company at a more reasonable rate. Or if you're just uninsured because you've been dropped and you can't afford the FAIR plan, Firewise designation is your only hope of getting insurance. So
Yeah.
it still is, yeah, very.
well, that's good to know.
Yeah.
So, all right, so we're into open forum. Anybody have any questions, concerns, answers, comments?
I have a comment, if it's
Okay.
okay. Well, as bad as the insurance thing sounds about them raising their rates, I think it's a good sign, because if they're allowed to raise their rates 35%, they're not all going to leave California, and it means that we'll all have insurance again, and maybe even a little competition if it's more than just Allstate that's here. So, and no matter how you look at it, 35%, rate hike is still better than the FAIR plan, which is way more expensive than that.
Yes.
So I personally
Robbie.
would rather have the rate hike and keep my good insurance and get on the fair plan than have to have all this additional insurance that you need to get. So, you do what you have to do here.
Well, they expected this. I mean, it's basically become kind of, from what we've heard from behind the scenes, kind of it's this game of cat and mouse since the state insurance department took such a bold, kind of aggressive move to rein in the insurance industry. Of course, the insurance industry is going to have a counter to it, and
Yeah.
and so they expected there to be this back and forth until it re-equilibrates, basically. But really, what the state insurance department is trying to induce is that equalization, standardization of the industry, so that it's not so volatile, and the insurance companies isn't just like a runaway train, basically.
Mhm.
Well, I'm curious, do we have a Pacific Power and Light representative, Ms. Drinkwater, or someone out there?
No,
She was invited and I thought she was going to attend, and I wanted to ask her not a loaded question, but a question she probably doesn't want to answer. And that is, and I asked this question over 2 weeks ago, again, to Pacific Power and Light, and they promised they were going to get me that answer before this meeting. What is the cost average per mile for putting high voltage power lines underground versus what is the cost per mile for replacing wooden poles with these metal posts that they've been doing here in the Mount Shasta and other areas in Siskiyou County for almost 2 years now? It appears to me that replacing those poles is very expensive. They did it right in front of my house. And meanwhile, for those of you that have been following the litigiousness of Pacific Power being accused and or convicted of not performing reasonable fuel reduction on their power lines, such as the Slater fire that burned through Happy Camp and destroyed many, many homes, killed 2 people, and totally gutted out the complete Indian Creek drainage all the way over the top and into the state of Oregon. The last I heard, so far, that Slater fire alone is going to cost Pacific Power and Light $78 million. And if I'm not mistaken, they got convicted of that. But there's more tort claims coming on the Slater fire alone. Meanwhile, in 2020 alone, in the state of Oregon, Pacific Power and Light was allegedly or apparently responsible for starting almost 1/3 of their human-caused wildfires because of their lack of maintenance on their high voltage lines. And the costs of litigation, which they are obligated to pay or have been paying up in Oregon alone, is in the hundreds of millions of dollars. And I'm thinking, holy smokes, it seems like going underground could be a whole lot cheaper in a whole lot of areas.
Well, but we don't have PP&L. We have Pacific Power or Rocky Mountain Power. That's not what we have here in Mount Shasta.
No, we have Pacific Power,
Yeah,
better known
not
as
PP&L.
Pacific Core.
Yeah, that's not the same as who's getting fined and all that. That's PP&L. That's a different company.
This is who I'm talking about. Pacific Power or Pacific Core have been responsible for all those fires I just mentioned, the Slater fire in Happy Camp, those many, many fires that they were charged and convicted of up in the state of Oregon since 2020. That's Pacific Core. That's Warren Buffett, our very rich acquaintance,
well,
just allowed the dams in Siskiyou County to be torn out.
Well, y'all, yeah, moving on then, and if nobody else has anything for open forum, when would you like our next meeting to be? I think it's scheduled to be in December, but that obviously is um, a bad time maybe. So would you like,
Well, let's keep it scheduled for December and see
Would-
how that rolls.
or would you like to push out to maybe January? Well, January, then you got
No.
New Year's. You want to do December, Dale?
Let's keep it scheduled at December if that sounds okay with you. It may not be snowy, it might have good weather. We might have a lot to talk about. For all we know, we could still be in fire season in December.
May I
We've
check
seen
my
that happen
calendar?
at least twice here in Siskiyou County in my 45 winters, unfortunately.
So the first Thursday in December would be December 5th. You want to put that in there, December 5th? And do we want to keep 3:30 or does everybody feel that's okay? Or is there a better time? Oh, there's some
Fine
chat
with
stuff,
me.
What do we got? Oh, I was wondering if Quail Hill is on the radar for fire. We know we wrote grants that were for the Quail Hill area that we didn't get. We worked in the Eddy Drive area and went up partway up Quail Hill, but it is on our radar. So nothing yet though, as far as external funding or grants for that. If you're suggesting that corporations take responsibility for making us safer versus profit for their shareholders, we know the answer, right, Nick? I hear you.
So
Okay,
in relation to Quail Hill also, we have met with the leadership of the Quail Hill Property
Right, but-
Association a number of times.
Okay,
And we have told them in the meanwhile,
go
that-
ahead, Kathleen.
yeah, this is about the people that live on the town side below Quail Hill. So we're not part of the Quail Hill Association at all. A lot of us that live down here walk
yes,
up on the hill and we know the amount of down wood that's up there and it's scary.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in agreement. Yeah, and again, property owners need to take responsibility and clear it up on their own if they can. If we can get funding for those areas, we will seek funding. We'll look at that. We'll ask for it, but there's no guarantee we're going to be able to
Right.
get funding.
Well, a lot of it up there is undeveloped property, and so the owners haven't even looked at their property in 20 years.
Yeah, that's a problem everywhere. you know.
Right.
And
So,
meanwhile, there are covenants, conditions, and restrictions on the deeds for property owners up on Quail Hill. They do need to maintain their property. Also, those that have structures up there that are permitted structures need to comply with Public Resource Code 4291. Those roads have to conform to the public resource codes too. If they are in violation, then those property owners are liable. What I would suggest, Kathleen, is start with George K., who's in their leadership.
right.
When the next meeting of the Property Owners Association is, yourself and hopefully a few of your neighbors could attend that meeting and make some serious noise.
So, and then we could think about forming a Firewise community down here.
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah. you
Okay,
can
I'll have
do
to,
that.
I'll have to look into that.
Yeah.
I don't know if I have George K's current contact information. I'll have to look.
Well, if there's a property owners associations, Quail Hills Association's meeting, we would be more than happy to attend with Firewise information, with fire safe information, anything that we can do. So if you find that there is a meeting, let us know when and see if we can get ourselves invited to talk to them. We'd be glad to do that.
Yes, we would.
Okay.
Again.
Yeah, I'll have to think about who I know that lives up in that subdivision up there. Cause like I said, I'm concerned about what's coming from the hill down.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, we get it.
And,
It's,
and I'm thinking of your neighbors, you know, like, the General Barato, that's right in front of your driveway as an example. I know
Right,
he's very concerned with fire safety, especially being an absentee owner,
right. Well,
and he's not alone.
yeah, I could write him a note because around my house, you have to trim everything that you can with the pole saw up, above 15 feet. And he's got some trees that definitely aren't trimmed that high. So,
well, I have one more comment about projects, and I forgot to mention that Shasta Valley RCD was going to send a rep, but they didn't. Just so you know, they have a large amount of money to spend in West Mount Shasta for home hardening and fuel reduction. And if you are interested, you need to contact Dan Blessing at the Shasta Valley RCD and tell him that you're interested in it, and he will tell you what to do next. I don't have his information handy right off the bat for chat, but maybe I can find it in my, let me look. Anyway, there is a project for West Mount Shasta, Greg. They're doing home hardening defensible space, and you just need to contact those folks. Let's see, Dan, let me see if I can find him.
Here's a
I
number.
I got it, Giselle. I'm gonna put
Okay.
it in the chat.
Oh, thank you. I was looking
Yeah.
for that. Okay,
And that RCD number is 842.
she's putting it in chat.
6121.
Yeah. Okay, so anyway, if you live in West Mount Shasta, there's funds, a lot of funds. So anyway, Greg, do your neighbors know about that source for fuel reduction funding? I can't hear you. You're muted.
I'm surrounded, the immediate homes on either side of me are rentals.
Yeah.
And what in particular is a slumlord. I don't know whether or not people are following this stuff.
Yeah.
Well, this is going to be free. So hopefully the landlords get an earful of that from
Yeah.
all the residents out there that are year-round residents.
Yeah.
I don't know the parameters. I think it's at no cost to you, but they might have some requirements. I don't know. So, all right. Anything else? Is everybody ready to go eat some dinner? It's
I
dinner,
just had lunch.
getting close to
Me
dinner time.
too.
Yeah.
Well, thank you all for joining us, and